Welcome to the case of Diddy. Shan Combs' lawyers are doubling down and asking the court to prevent potential witnesses and accusers from publicly commenting on the rapper's criminal case. We'll break down their latest letter to the judge and what it all means. The battle between the government and Shan Combs' lawyers continues, and we are far from the trial, where prosecutors will attempt to prove to the jury that Shan Combs is guilty of racketeering conspiracy and human trafficking for prostitution. Specifically, he is accused of directing, coordinating, and participating in illegal coerced sex sessions known as freak-offs, involving male sex workers and, at times, drugs. However, the current battle we are discussing revolves around the issue of a gag order, and I must say, it is quite fascinating. If you've been following us, you may recall that Shan Combs' lawyers have repeatedly petitioned the court to prevent information related to the case from being publicly discussed. This has taken various forms. First, Combs' defense team accused the government of improperly releasing information and commenting on the case. You may remember their allegation that the government leaked a 2016 video purportedly showing Combs assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, in a hotel hallway. They also accused Homeland Security agents of improperly speaking to the media. Additionally, Combs' lawyers submitted a draft gag order, but prosecutors objected, arguing that the allegations were unfounded. They proposed their own version of a gag order. Judge Arun Subramanian, who is overseeing the case, issued an order last month stating, "The court has reviewed the parties' proposed orders and declines to adopt either side's proposal. Instead, the court finds that an order underscoring the parties' existing responsibilities is appropriate. This order is intended to ensure that everyone involved in the case or the investigation clearly understands what they are prohibited from disclosing. The goal of this order is to prevent any actions from now on that could compromise the fairness of the trial." Judge Subramanian directed prosecutors, their staff, law enforcement officials working with them, and the defense team to comply with the rules, prohibiting them from disclosing grand jury materials or non-public information. This directive is reasonable because Shan Combs, like any other criminal defendant, has the right to a fair trial. However, there is another ongoing issue. Combs' attorneys have attempted to prevent potential witnesses and their attorneys from making statements outside of court. This includes statements from those who have filed sexual assault lawsuits against Shan Combs. These accusers and their attorneys are also not allowed. Keep in mind that Shan Combs is facing multiple lawsuits accusing him of rape, sexual assault, human trafficking, and sexual exploitation. There are statements from victims who say they were as young as 10 or 13 years old when Shan Combs sexually assaulted them. When analyzing these legal documents, it must be said that both the prosecution and the defense have made strong legal arguments. The question is, can these individuals be silenced? Can they be gagged in any way? Because this could negatively impact Shan Combs' rights in his criminal case. This is an intriguing legal question. Currently, prosecutors have objected to this. They oppose what they describe as a victim gag order. One of their arguments is, what exactly is Combs asking for? He is either requesting a sweeping gag order that would indiscriminately apply to anyone with claims against Combs and their lawyers, or he is requesting a more limited order that would force prosecutors to disclose witness identities months before the trial. Prosecutors argue that this is improper. Combs does not have the right to know the identities of witnesses at this stage, as it could jeopardize their case. This brings us to the latest letter from Combs' lawyers addressed to Judge Subramanian. In it, they write, We write on behalf of our client, Mr. Sean Combs, regarding the deluge of improper pretrial publicity that is undermining Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial and the integrity of the grand jury proceedings. As the court is aware, Mr. Combs has filed a motion to restrict extrajudicial statements by potential witnesses and their counsel, which the government has opposed. Mr. Combs' response is due on November 8, 2024. However, given the immediate harm caused by certain extrajudicial statements related to the ongoing grand jury proceedings, we request that the court immediately restrain extrajudicial statements by potential witnesses and their counsel during the pendency of this motion. Combs' lawyers emphasize that this issue needs to be addressed immediately because public comments before a trial, especially in high-profile cases, are highly concerning. Such statements could influence the potential jury's perspective on the case, causing them to develop biases against Combs. This could also impact the witnesses, their testimony, how they testify, or even whether they choose to testify at all. Furthermore, even before the trial begins, grand jury proceedings are currently underway. If reports are accurate, the grand jury is reviewing new evidence. Public comments could impact this process, and this is precisely what has Combs' lawyers concerned. They cite, "In recent days, a grand jury witness and his attorney have given multiple interviews, including outside the courthouse immediately following the witness's testimony. In these interviews, the witness has made false and shocking claims, such as stating that he possesses videos showing Mr. Combs engaging in sexual assaults involving celebrities and minors." The witness in question is Courtney Burgess, who reportedly testified before a grand jury in New York last week in Combs' case. According to reports, the grand jury may be reviewing new evidence in the case, which could lead to additional or amended charges against Sean Combs. However, Burgess, along with his attorney Ariel Mitchell-Kidd, appeared on News Nation's Banfield program last week and claimed that he was provided multiple USB drives containing videos of Combs' alleged sexual abuse. These videos reportedly involve at least 8 celebrities, some of whom are said to have been minors. Burgess implied that the USB drives may have come from his friend Kim Porter, Combs' ex-girlfriend, who tragically passed away from pneumonia a few years ago. However, Burgess stated that he no longer has the tapes. He also claimed to have received a manuscript of a memoir allegedly written by Porter, titled Kim's Lost Words, a journal for justice from the other side. I previously interviewed the author of this book, Chris Todd, and interestingly, the book gained significant popularity on Amazon, with sales skyrocketing. However, it was later removed due to questions about its accuracy and the claims made within it. Kim Porter's family and friends strongly opposed the book. Returning to the case, Combs' lawyers have strongly opposed the claims made by Burgess and Mitchell-Kidd during interviews and the press conference they held on the courthouse steps. They argued, "These stories have spread rapidly through the media and created the impression that such tapes exist, which is false. Moreover, the government is allegedly crediting these sensational claims, which seriously prejudices our client's rights." Combs' lawyers stated that the witness and his attorney have avoided verifying their claims through the legal process. For instance, the witness reportedly resisted complying with the grand jury subpoena and only appeared after marshals tracked him down. When asked directly if they had the tapes to support their claims, the witness's attorney simply responded, "That's what we are going to work on determining." However, the referenced materials, rather than videos, clearly indicate that no such tapes exist. In reality, the witness, who has never even met Sean Combs, claims he received the tapes from an unidentified individual who was later shot and killed, along with a memoir allegedly written by the deceased mother of Combs's children. This memoir has been widely denounced as fake. By treating these absurd claims as anything more than a pathetic extortion scheme, the government is fueling the fire of online conspiracy theories and making it impossible for our client to receive a fair trial, the lawyers argued. Combs's lawyers argue that the court must intervene immediately, as it has a constitutional duty to mitigate the negative effects of pretrial publicity. This includes restricting the speech of potential witnesses and their attorneys, especially when these individuals may not even be involved in the criminal case. They assert, the government opposes identifying the witnesses, so what happens if this witness does not even testify in the case? We have the right to prevent him from speaking. Combs's lawyers emphasize that individuals suing Sean Combs, but who are not prosecution witnesses, are exploiting the criminal case against him. They are using the indictment, allegations, and Combs's arrest to bolster their claims in their separate lawsuits. They conclude, the plaintiffs and their attorneys stand to financially benefit from a conviction of Sean Combs and therefore have a strong incentive to make damaging statements in the media. Claiming that these lawsuits and the plaintiffs are unrelated is completely inaccurate. Combs's lawyers further accuse the government of improperly leaking information about the case. They state, the recent press coverage is particularly damaging as it has triggered another wave of leaks from law enforcement, violating the court's October 25, 2024 order. They cite several media articles as evidence, including a CNN article where a source familiar with the investigation stated, the grand jury is always meeting. This is an ongoing investigation. An NBC article in which a source confirmed that a male witness was expected to testify on Thursday. These reports, according to Combs's lawyers, highlight a concerning pattern of unauthorized disclosures that could prejudice the case. A New York Post article cited a federal law enforcement source who stated, we are asking them about their recollections of the freak-offs, what they were paid to do, and who else was involved. The source also revealed that participants were encouraged to use Viagra and stimulants before the parties, and if they did not comply, they would be thrown out and not paid. Combs's lawyers have submitted a proposed temporary order to the court aimed at restricting the speech of potential witnesses and their attorneys. The order states, pending the court's decision, all potential witnesses in the case and related grand jury proceedings, including their lawyers, representatives, and agents, are prohibited from directly or indirectly disclosing or authorizing the disclosure of any non-public information or opinions that a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated through media channels, if such dissemination is likely to interfere with a fair trial or compromise the administration of justice. This measure seeks to prevent pretrial publicity from undermining the legal process. The order defines potential witnesses as any individuals who claim or have claimed to be victims of Sean Combs in connection with the allegations described in the indictment or any similar conduct. This is a very broad order, and as of now, Judge Subramanian has not signed off on it. However, the judge issued a separate directive stating that if the defendant has additional arguments in response to the government's opposition to the gag order, they must be submitted to the court by 12 p.m. on November 5, 2024, instead of the originally scheduled date of November 8. This indicates that the case is becoming increasingly complex. If Combs is convicted, he could use issues related to pretrial publicity as grounds for an appeal, potentially leading to the conviction being overturned. Therefore, this matter cannot be taken lightly. We will continue to monitor and provide updates on the latest developments in Diddy's case. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our platform or any other platform you use. See you next time. Welcome back to our channel. Believe it or not, Hollywood's past scandals were even more shocking than today's. Studios and powerful figures had the ability to cover up serious crimes, protected by the social values of the time. From misconduct involving minors to scandalous affairs between co-stars, these are the dark secrets Hollywood tried to bury. The case of Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia, is one of Hollywood's most famous unsolved mysteries. This case became notorious for its gruesome details and sparked numerous rumors linking it to figures in the entertainment industry. In January 1947, Elizabeth Short's body was discovered in a vacant lot in Los Angeles, where she had been severely mutilated. The horrific nature of her death and her connections to Hollywood social circles drew significant public interest. Short was known to have interacted with many individuals in the industry, raising questions about her relationships with powerful men, including studio executives and actors. This speculation made the case a sensitive topic for Hollywood. The media quickly picked up the story, often sensationalizing details to capture public attention, but doing little to aid the investigation. Hollywood studios feared that being linked to the case could damage their image if any stars or executives were implicated. Despite extensive investigations, no one was ever charged in connection with Elizabeth Short's death, and the case remains one of Los Angeles's most infamous unsolved mysteries. Hedy Lamarr, once hailed as the most beautiful woman in the world, faced shoplifting charges later in her life, in stark contrast to her glamorous Hollywood image. A major star in the 1940s and 1950s, she was also a pioneering inventor, notably developing a radio guidance system during World War II that laid the foundation for modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technology. Despite her achievements, Lamarr was arrested multiple times for shoplifting in the 1960s. The first significant incident occurred in Los Angeles, where she was accused of stealing $86 worth of goods from a department store. Each arrest generated negative publicity, clashing with the carefully crafted image she had maintained throughout her career. Hollywood worked to downplay media coverage of her arrests, a common strategy to protect stars from scrutiny, especially those who had played pivotal roles in the industry. These efforts aimed to preserve the mystique surrounding Lamarr's legacy as both an actress and an inventor. The rivalry between Joan Crawford and Bette Davis is one of Hollywood's most infamous feuds, adding intrigue to their public personas. Initially, Hollywood tried to downplay their animosity to maintain a more harmonious image of its stars. Both actresses were in constant competition for similar roles and were often pitted against each other by studios as a marketing tactic. This rivalry became especially evident at the Oscars when Crawford, not nominated for her role in Sudden Fear, contacted other nominees, offering to accept the award on their behalf if they won, an attempt seen as overshadowing Davis, who was nominated for All About Eve. Their feud reached its peak during the filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, where incidents of rivalry and alleged sabotage became part of Hollywood lore. Despite their mutual disdain, Crawford and Davis's collaboration resulted in major commercial success. Hollywood studios initially sought to minimize the feud, fearing it could hurt their film's marketability. Publicists worked to deny the rivalry or spin it as friendly competition. Elizabeth Taylor, one of Hollywood's most famous and glamorous actresses, was known not only for her cinematic achievements, but also for the number of marriages she had, 8 times to 7 different men. Her marriages reflected a mix of true love, media spectacle, and occasional scandal, symbolizing the shifting societal attitudes in America. Hollywood worked to maintain Taylor's image as a leading lady, often overshadowing her career by focusing on her personal life. Studios attempted to minimize negative press and promote her films instead. Taylor's relationship with the media was complex. While she shared details about her personal life, studios were cautious about disclosures that could threaten her image. During her most scandalous relationships, notably her affair with Eddie Fisher and her marriages to Richard Burton, Hollywood's PR machinery worked to control public perception. These efforts were driven by commercial interests tied to her box office appeal. Over time, the perception of Taylor's marriages shifted from scandalous to tragic as the emotional toll of her personal life became more apparent. Walt Disney's meeting with Leni Riefenstahl in 1938 highlights Hollywood's complicated relationship with politics and public perception. Riefenstahl, famous for her Nazi propaganda films like Triumph of the Will, visited shortly after Kristallnacht, the coordinated attack on Jews in Nazi Germany. During her visit, she met with several filmmakers, including Disney, who reportedly gave her a tour of his studio. This decision drew significant disapproval from many in the industry, particularly Jewish executives and creatives, who refused to meet her due to her Nazi connections. Disney's meeting was not widely publicized at the time and remained obscure until after World War II, as Hollywood sought to downplay it. As awareness of Nazi ideologies grew, Hollywood, which was heavily influenced by Jewish talent, became highly sensitive to any associations with Nazi sympathizers. As a leading figure in entertainment, Disney had to be cautious about his public image, making his meeting with Riefenstahl a notable part of Hollywood's political complexities. Paul Bern's death remains one of Hollywood's longest-standing mysteries, with studios, particularly MGM, working hard to protect their stars and reputations. Just 2 months after marrying Jean Harlow, Byrne was found dead from a gunshot wound at their Beverly Hills home on September 5, 1932. Next to his body was a note suggesting suicide, filled with expressions of love and regret. The media sensationalized the event, but MGM quickly took control of the situation. Executives, including Louis B. Mayer, were reported to have arrived at the scene with rumors that evidence might have been altered before the police could investigate. Harlow's image was critical to the studio, so they orchestrated a campaign emphasizing her grief and kept her away from negative media attention. Speculation arose about the possibility of foul play involving a former lover or financial disputes. However, thanks to MGM's efforts, Harlow's reputation was largely shielded in the wake of this tragic event. Thomas Ince, a pioneering film producer and director known as the Father of the Western, died under mysterious circumstances in 1924, shaking the film industry and fueling persistent rumors. His death occurred after a weekend party aboard the yacht of media mogul William Randolph Hearst, with notable guests like actress Marion Davies, Charlie Chaplin, and journalist Luella Parsons. Official reports claimed Ince's death was due to heart failure caused by acute indigestion. However, there has been speculation that Ince was accidentally shot by Hearst, who may have been aiming at Chaplin, rumored to be romantically involved with Davies. Many believe Hearst and others covered up the truth to protect their reputations, supported by inconsistencies in the accounts of Ince's health during the yacht trip. Despite the rumors, the official cause of Ince's death remains heart failure, worsened by his pre-existing health conditions. The film industry was deeply concerned about the potential damage the scandal could cause, especially as public scrutiny of Hollywood's morality increased. In 1943, Errol Flynn, one of Hollywood's top stars of the Golden Age, faced a trial that garnered widespread media attention. He was accused of misconduct with 2 underage girls, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley, with the incidents allegedly occurring at his home and aboard his yacht. These charges posed a serious threat to Flynn's career and reputation. Warner Brothers, the studio Flynn was under contract with, provided strong support throughout the trial, hiring top attorneys to defend him. Flynn's legal team portrayed him as the victim of opportunistic accusations, arguing that the charges were exaggerated due to his fame and playboy lifestyle. This narrative fit well with Flynn's well-known image, suggesting the encounters were consensual and misunderstood. In 1943, Flynn was acquitted after a highly publicized trial, with his attorneys discrediting the accuser's testimonies. The outcome was influenced by the cultural norms of the time, which often placed the burden of proof on the victims. Despite the scandal, Flynn's acquittal allowed him to continue his successful career in Hollywood. Judy Garland's mistreatment and the abuse of child stars in the film industry are well-documented tragedies. Signed to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, at just 13 years old, Garland quickly rose to fame, but her success came at a great personal cost. From the beginning, she faced immense pressure regarding her appearance, weight, and performance. MGM controlled every aspect of her life, imposing a strict diet and subjecting her to amphetamines to keep up her energy during grueling shoots. Her schedule was relentless, requiring long hours that often left her exhausted and ill. The studio system prioritized production schedules over the well-being of its stars, turning a blind eye to their struggles behind the scenes. The pressures on Garland were immense, as she was expected to deliver perfection, regardless of the personal toll. MGM's public relations department carefully crafted an image of Garland as a happy, carefree star, completely at odds with the harsh reality she endured. This facade masked the deep-seated pain and challenges she faced, highlighting the darker side of Hollywood that many child stars experienced. Marilyn Monroe's death in 1962 remains one of Hollywood's most controversial events. Officially ruled a probable suicide from a drug overdose, her untimely demise has sparked ongoing theories ranging from accidental overdose to murder. Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home on August 5, 1962. The Los Angeles County coroner concluded that her death was due to a self-administered overdose, recorded as a probable suicide. However, many theories suggest Monroe's death was linked to her alleged relationships with the Kennedy family, particularly John F. Kennedy or Robert Kennedy. Some believe Monroe possessed sensitive political information, making her a target. Others speculate that the mafia was involved to discredit the Kennedys. Additionally, there is speculation that those close to Monroe, including medical professionals, may have covered up the true circumstances of her death. Hollywood, eager to maintain a clean image, played a role in shaping the narrative surrounding her. Death. Actress Thelma Todd, known for her comedic roles and work with the Marx Brothers, died under mysterious circumstances in 1935. Initially, her death was ruled accidental carbon monoxide poisoning when she was found dead in her car with the engine running. However, bruises on her body suggested a struggle or assault. She was last seen alive at a party the night before her body was discovered. Todd's strained relationships with her lover Roland West and ex-husband Pat DeSico fueled suspicions of foul play. Given Todd's popularity, Hollywood studios quickly intervened to influence media coverage, focusing on her life and career rather than the mysterious details surrounding her death. The scandal surrounding Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle is one of the earliest and most notorious in Hollywood history, leaving a lasting impact on the film industry. The incident began over Labor Day weekend in 1921 during a party hosted by Arbuckle at a San Francisco hotel. Virginia Rapp, a young actress, became gravely ill at the party and died 4 days later from peritonitis caused by a ruptured bladder. Arbuckle was accused of assaulting her, which allegedly led to her fatal injuries. Between 1921 and 1922, Arbuckle faced 3 trials. The first two ended in hung juries, attracting intense media coverage. The third trial resulted in an acquittal, with the jury even issuing a formal apology for the ordeal Arbuckle had endured. However, despite his acquittal, the damage to Arbuckle's public image was irreversible. At the time of Arbuckle's trials, Hollywood was still in its early years. This scandal, along with others, led the industry to implement stricter moral guidelines, later known as the Hays Code. Gloria Graham's marriage to her former stepson, Anthony Ray, is one of Hollywood's most intriguing scandals, capturing public attention in 1962. The news that Gloria had married Anthony, the son of her ex-husband, director Nicholas Ray, surprised many, especially since Anthony had been her stepson during her marriage to Nicholas. The relationship reportedly began under controversial circumstances, as Nicholas allegedly discovered Anthony in a compromising situation with Graham, which led to the end of their marriage. Years later, Gloria and Anthony reconnected and married in 1960. The fact that Anthony had been her stepson added complexity to the story, increasing public interest. Hollywood sought to minimize media coverage of their marriage, trying to shift the focus back to Graham's professional career. However, the marriage soon became widely known, sparking surprise, disapproval, and curiosity. Despite the controversy, Graham continued her career after the scandal. In 1977, Roman Polanski became involved in a highly controversial case concerning a young girl named Samantha Geimer. The incident occurred at actor Jack Nicholson's home, although Nicholson was not present at the time. Polanski later agreed to a plea deal, pleading guilty to a lesser charge related to unlawful sexual conduct with a minor. Following his plea, Polanski underwent a 42-day psychiatric evaluation at a correctional facility. However, when he learned that the judge might impose a harsher sentence than expected, Polanski fled the United States in 1978 and moved to France, where he held citizenship. France's legal system does not allow the extradition of its citizens. Allowing Polanski to avoid returning to the U.S. Hollywood's reaction was mixed. Some industry figures supported Polanski, focusing on his artistic contributions, while others condemned his actions. The case remains a topic of significant debate, with ongoing discussions about balancing artistic talent with ethical and legal responsibility. The mysterious death of George Reeves, known for his role as Superman in the 1950s series Adventures of Superman, has puzzled fans for decades. He died from a gunshot wound in 1959 at his Los Angeles home. While police ruled it a suicide, several anomalies raised questions, including the absence of fingerprints on the gun, a rarity in suicide cases. Reeves died in the early hours of the morning with guests still present at his home, complicating the timeline and generating conflicting testimonies about the discovery of his body. The official suicide verdict was supported by his depression over being typecast and career struggles, but some speculated it could have been an accident involving a party guest. Studios were concerned about protecting their stars' wholesome images, fearing that labeling Reeves's death as a suicide or murder could damage the Superman brand. As a result, there was an effort to downplay the mysterious elements of his death in the press, focusing instead on his personal troubles or framing it as a straightforward suicide. The death of actress Natalie Wood in 1981 during a weekend boat trip to Santa Catalina Island aboard the yacht Splendor remains a mystery. Wood drowned while her husband, Robert Wagner, actor Christopher Walken, and the boat's captain, Dennis Davern, were on board. Initially, authorities reported that Wood accidentally fell into the water, but subsequent investigations cast doubt on this narrative. Reports of a heated argument between Wagner and Wood emerged, along with conflicting statements about when she was noticed missing. The autopsy revealed bruises and an abrasion on Wood's body, though it was unclear if they occurred before her death or while she struggled in the water. Given that Wood was not a strong swimmer, questions arose about how she ended up in the water, especially while wearing a life jacket. After the initial investigation left many questions unanswered, the case was reopened in 2011. Captain Dennis Davern admitted to lying during the original investigation and confirmed that a fight between Wagner and Wood had taken place the night she disappeared. Loretta Young's secret about her illegitimate child is one of Hollywood's most tightly kept secrets, illustrating the lengths stars would go to protect their public image during an era when unwed motherhood could ruin a career. In the early 1930s, while filming The Call of the Wild, Young worked alongside Clark Gable, and rumors circulated that they had a brief affair, which resulted in Young becoming pregnant. Fearing the severe repercussions of having a child out of wedlock, Young and the studio went to great lengths to keep her pregnancy hidden. She temporarily disappeared from the public eye, citing illness as a cover for her condition. After giving birth in 1935, Young placed her daughter, Judy, in a temporary orphanage before later adopting her to maintain a legal pretense. For many years, Judy grew up unaware of her true parentage. The studio played a significant role in concealing the truth, recognizing that revealing the secret could not only harm Young's career but also that of Gable, potentially affecting their profits. The story of Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato is a dramatic mix of glamour, scandal, and violence, showcasing the dark side of Hollywood's golden age. Their relationship began in 1957, but quickly became tumultuous, filled with violent incidents and possessiveness from Stompanato. Despite frequent arguments and conflicts, Turner hesitated to end the relationship, fearing Stompanato's violent temper and threats. The situation reached a climax on April 4, 1958, when during a heated argument at Turner's Beverly Hills home, Stompanato was stabbed to death by Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, who claimed she acted in defense of her mother. Following the event, Hollywood's power structures swiftly moved to control the narrative, prioritizing Turner's image as a top star. Media experts worked tirelessly to frame the incident as a tragic act of self-defense, emphasizing Crane's protective actions. Turner's testimony in the investigation painted the picture of a victim of domestic abuse, and ultimately, Stompanato's death was ruled a justifiable homicide. Charlie Chaplin, one of the greatest icons of Hollywood's golden era, was embroiled in multiple relationships with young actresses, creating scandals that the industry worked hard to keep under wraps. As Chaplin's fame grew, public interest in his personal life, particularly his relationships with significantly younger women, also intensified. His first notable relationship was with Edna Purviance when she was 19 and he was 26, setting a precedent for future scandals. Chaplin's first marriage was to Mildred Harris when he was 29 and she was only 16. The marriage quickly fell apart and ended in a messy divorce. Chaplin then rushed into marriage with Lita Gray after she became pregnant, and their subsequent divorce was filled with scandalous details that the media could not ignore. Later, Chaplin married Una O'Neill when he was 54, and she was just 18. Despite the large age gap, this marriage was the most stable relationship of Chaplin's life and lasted until his death. While Hollywood often attempted to suppress these stories to protect its stars, Chaplin's personal life remained a constant source of intrigue for the press. Ingrid Bergman's affair with director Roberto Rossellini in the late 1940s created a scandal that altered the course of her career. At the time, Bergman was still married to her first husband, Peter Lindstrom, while Rossellini was also married. Their relationship began when Bergman wrote a letter to Rossellini expressing her admiration for his work, which eventually led to her being cast in the film Stromboli, where their affair blossomed. The scandal became public when Bergman became pregnant with Rossellini's child, shattering her previously flawless public image. Hollywood's carefully crafted portrayal of stars demanded that they maintain impeccable reputations. Thus, the film industry and media initially attempted to conceal the affair to protect her image and the commercial success of the film. However, once the pregnancy and scandal could no longer be hidden, Bergman faced harsh criticism and was nearly blacklisted in Hollywood, not appearing in any American films for almost 7 years. It wasn't until her return in Anastasia that Bergman slowly regained recognition and restored her reputation. Thank you for watching my video. There's much more to explore in future videos, so stay tuned. Thanks and goodbye.